Welcome to today's episode of Fly to Freedom. And I actually want to start this episode by just saying such a huge thank you to you, the listeners, for tuning in every week and also for the most beautiful letters, emails, messages I get about the podcast. And it's amazing. It fills my heart to know that this podcast is helping people, that it is making a difference, and that what I'm doing week after week is worthwhile. So thank you so much. I absolutely love your feedback. And it just, honestly, it's amazing to hear from you. I love hearing from you all. So first of all, I'm so grateful to you and for you, and you're all amazing. So thank you so much. And so this episode is just me, and I have been having little thoughts coming into my head all week about what I'm going to do for this episode. And it's kind of turning out to be a bits and bobs episode, like helpful tips, tricks, things that just make recovery a little bit more bearable, a little bit easier. I mean, it's never going to be easy, right? It's always going to be a really tough journey, because if it was easy, no one would really have an eating disorder, because it wouldn't be a thing. But it is hard. It's really hard to recover. And anything that makes it just that bit easier has got to help, right? So I've been thinking of little things all week, jotting them down, the notes on my phone. So if I keep looking down, it's because I'm looking at notes to remind me of the things I wanted to talk about. So I'm just going to kind of go from one thing to another. They're not in any special order. They just are down as they randomly came into my head on dog walks, at the gym, anytime really. I just start jotting them down. I even woke up in the night and jotted one down last night. So the first one is, when you're starting to recover, when you make that decision, or when you're at the beginning, or actually wherever you are now, writing a letter to yourself to say exactly how you're feeling. Now, this is super helpful, because it helps, number one, clarify where you are and what you don't want. It's all the hell of the eating disorder, why you want to not be in this place anymore, the misery, the difficulties, the isolation, all of that shit that just makes your life horrendous, and the reasons you want out. So write that down, which is incredibly helpful, especially a few weeks down the line where things aren't so bad and you start to think, well, this recovery is still really hard, and perhaps it wasn't so bad being in the eating disorder. You get to read this letter that you've written to yourself that says, basically, it was that bad. It's fucking awful, and you don't want to come back here. Keep going towards recovery, because living in this hell, you don't want it. So that is super helpful. When you're doing this, it's also helpful to look at how the eating disorder does serve you, because it does in some way, shape or form. It will be serving you. And when you can identify what it's helping you do, you see where you have needs that you can meet in other ways that aren't so harmful to you. But those needs are going to be there. That's why you have the eating disorder in the first place, to help you cope. It is a coping strategy of some form or another. So look at the reasons it's there and try and identify what it's helping you do, in what way it's been serving you, so that you can then create different coping strategies to serve you, instead of using the disordered behaviors of the eating disorder. So that's the first Really, really helpful thing. And the second that you can actually use this letter for is to work out your destination, to work out what you want. So the letter saying how you feel is basically what you don't want. And so you can refer to that. And if you don't want to feel like you're completely controlled, then perhaps you do want to feel free. If you don't want to feel anxious all the time, perhaps you do want to feel peace. So start looking at what you want. It doesn't have to be like an absolutely clear destination. It can just be how you feel, or perhaps you want to be able to be spontaneous and go out for a meal with friends from time to time, or go on holiday, or not feel guilty every time you eat. So a destination is really, really helpful, a goal to work towards, a vision of the future free you. Having that destination is something to work towards, because if you get in the car and you start driving, you need to know where you're going in order to get there. Otherwise, you can just be kind of going around and around. The next thing I wanted to talk to is that there is no way around the fear. So you've probably done it. I know I did it so many times. Searched for the magic wand, the magic pill, the magic cure, the way round, the perhaps this is going to work, perhaps that is going to work, and all the different ways possible to try and feel better without facing the fear. And there is no way around the fear. And the sooner you can accept that and stop searching for a way round, the sooner you're able to just face the fear. And the only way to get past the fear is to go through it. And that sounds really tough. And I'm not going to lie, it is really tough. But the fear of facing the fear is so much worse than just getting on and doing it. So facing the fear is easier than the fear of facing the fear. And I literally absolutely promise you that is true. I would wind myself up so much. I'm so stressed out. I've got to do this. I've got to face this fear. I've got to do this. I don't want to do it. Is there any way round doing it? And when I just actually got on and did it, it was nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I created all these stories in my head about how awful it was going to be, that I wasn't going to be able to do this, that I can't do that. And when I just sat down and did it, I did the thing that scared me. It wasn't as bad as I'd imagined at all. So just remember that the way to get through the fear is to literally face it. And on the other side of fear, which is one of Victoria's favourite quotes, on the other side of fear is freedom. And that's the most beautiful thing ever. And that's what we all want, right? Total freedom. The next thing I wanted to talk about, and we all struggle with this in recovery, is unicorn syndrome. You're not a unicorn. I'm not a unicorn. If it's okay for other people to rest, it's okay for you to rest. You don't have different rules apply to you than the rest of humanity. If it's okay for other people to eat a donut, eat the cake, eat the chips, it's okay for you. You're not a unicorn. So although the eating disorder says that the rules are different for you, they're not. They're absolutely not. You are, it sounds really mean, you're not so special that you're different to everybody else. And that sounds really harsh, because you're incredibly special and you're an amazing human being and you're on this incredible journey. But the same rules of humanity still apply to you. We all have the same things. We all need to eat. We all need to drink. We all need to rest. And this is true for every human being. You're no different. So that's one that's really important to bear in mind. Okay, so lots of random things in here I've written down. The language we use to ourselves is hugely powerful. So if you say, I can't do that, well, then you're not going to be able to do it. It's that simple. When you say, I can't, you're literally creating a barrier to stop yourself from doing it. You can say, this is hard, or I'm scared of doing this, but most things you can do. When you say, I can't stop exercise, well, if you broke both your legs, you would. You can stop, you can sit down, you can not do it. Yes, it's really uncomfortable. Yes, it's really stressful. And yes, it feels like you want to crawl out of your own skin, but you can do it. There's nothing stopping you from doing it. When you say, I can't eat that, well, why not? Is your mouth wired shut? Are your hands tied behind your back? You can do it. You can eat it. You're afraid of eating it. It's really hard to eat it. But don't block yourself by using the word can't. When you say, I'll try to have this, it's half-hearted. It's leaving the door open to not being able to do it, to not managing it. So use your words to create a powerful intention. I will eat that. I am able to rest. And create the intention with the power of your words. And it makes so much difference. When we talk to ourselves in a positive manner and use empowering words, it really, really does make a difference. Honestly, try it and see how you get on. Also on language and words, when those thoughts are swirling around your head and getting out of control, particularly when you're getting ready to face a fear or after you've eaten and all the guilt comes flooding in and it's hard, it's stressful, you're anxious, you're thinking, I'm going to get fatter and fatter forever and ever, and it's never going to stop. And you start getting scenes from Willy Wonka coming into your head. And those thoughts just seem to swirl further and further out of control. Take those words out of your head and put them on paper. Literally, put pen to paper and write all those swirling thoughts down. And it sounds really simple, but it's so powerful, and it takes the thoughts right out of your head. And you can put them down on paper and you can ask them questions. Is this actually true? Is this a bit of unicorn syndrome? Is this true for everybody? And start looking at them. Bring your logical brain back online and say, wow, look at these thoughts swirling out of control. I don't need to think like this anymore. And then you can throw it away, or you can burn it, or you can do whatever you want, but you've taken the thoughts out of your head. And that's so, so helpful to do. Another way to help with the swirling thoughts, and it sounds very, very strange, is humming. When we hum, it brings us back into the parasympathetic nervous system. It calms us right down. And the noise of the humming vibrates through your whole head, and it brings you to now. It's really, really hard to think of anything else when you're humming. Try it. Just take a deep breath, close your eyes and go, mm. And it's just, it kind of like resets your nervous system. It just almost brings an instant peace. So it's a really, really helpful and quick tip, because humming is so accessible to everybody. We can all do it. You don't have to hum in tune. You don't have to do any of that. Just a is good enough. And that's absolutely fine. But it just brings you right back to now. Totally stops those thoughts in their tracks and just calms you straight away. So it's super, super helpful. Actually, where was it? I looked up some things. Yeah, humming can help with stress reduction. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system and promotes relaxation and reduces stress levels. It also releases endorphins, which are natural mood boosters, which helps improve your mood and feelings of happiness and well-being. It can be a form of mindfulness practice, focusing on the present moment and used as a technique to improve concentration and attention. And it can help as anxiety relief. It provides a sense of comfort and acts as a grounding technique during those very anxious moments. So, such a simple thing that costs no money, is completely accessible, is super, super, super helpful to just bring you back to now when you find your thoughts are getting out of control. And those thoughts, sometimes, particularly in early recovery, it's hard to know which thoughts are yours and which thoughts are the eating disorders. And Victoria actually has an amazing thing that she used to tell me, and I know she tells her other clients. Do the thoughts feel loving? Do they come from a place of love or a place of fear? And if they're coming from a place of fear, then they're likely to be eating disorder thoughts, and they're the ones you don't want to follow. Because what you focus on, you get more of. So if you focus on the fear-based thoughts, then you'll get more of them. And if you focus on the loving thoughts, then you get more of them. And we all want more loving thoughts, right? Always. Okay, so the next thing is gratitude, a gratitude practice, which I actually do every single morning. I started early in recovery because I had a pretty negative outlook on life, and I always saw the negative in everything. And so now I look for, first thing in the morning, I wake up and I basically get my journal and write down lots of things I'm grateful for. And through the day, I look at what I'm grateful for. And even like when my husband is really annoying, because he is sometimes, and so am I, and we're human beings and everybody can be annoying. When he's constantly leaving something out and I'm constantly putting it away, rather than getting hung up on the negative, I actually think of the things I'm grateful to him for. It's like, I'm so grateful to him because every morning he wakes me up with a cup of coffee, which is so lovely. And I'm super grateful. He's always there for me, always supporting me. If I ever need a hug, he's always there to give me a hug. And he's always loved me and always will. And I'm so grateful to have him in my life. And I'm so grateful to be able to do this podcast. I'm so grateful that I'm recovered and that I'm here and able to help other people. I'm so grateful that through my recovery, I've met some unbelievably incredible people that literally help me shine my light because they shine theirs. And so focusing on things that make you feel happy, things that you're grateful for, again, like with the fear-based thoughts, when you focus on them and you get more fear, when you focus on the things you're grateful for, you find more things to be grateful for. And that just brings you up and makes you feel happier and just so much better. So work on gratitude, create a gratitude practice. It doesn't take long, but think about what you're grateful for. And it doesn't have to be big things, it can be small things. And I do love to include what I'm grateful to myself for, what I'm grateful to my body for, because recovery is such a difficult path of getting to know yourself, learning to accept your body. And if you can look at the things you're grateful for with yourself and your body, this really helps. It helps you feel more kindly towards yourself. And you don't have to be grateful for how your body looks. You don't even need to like how your body looks. But you can be grateful that your heart beats. You can be grateful that you have a voice and you can speak and communicate with people. You can be grateful that your legs allow you to walk or run or swim or whatever your legs allow you to do. Your arms allow you to hug someone or stroke your pet. There's so many things that we can find about our bodies that we can be grateful for. Okay, the next thing I've written down is, I actually wrote to fake it to make it, which, hang on, let me just have a quick drink. So the reason I wrote this is because you cannot recover from an eating disorder whilst you're behaving like someone with an eating disorder. So imagine how you want to be behaving, how that future vision of you that you did earlier, how she would behave. And would she deliberately go and pick the fat-free yogurt? Or would she have the yogurt that tastes good, that's going to nourish her body more? And then you do what she would do. And the more you act as if you are recovered, the more you become recovered, the more the pretending, the faking, the making out as if you are, then that's who you become, because you literally get to create your reality. And with this, it feels weird, first of all, like when you start being nice to yourself and kind and stop putting yourself down and bring in the self-compassion, it feels fake, it feels weird, it feels uncomfortable, until it doesn't, until it starts to become your normality. So with the fake it to make it, the actions come before the feelings. So you do the actions of who you would want to be like, the vision of you, the self-loving, free person. You act as if you are that person. And then you start to feel as if you are that person and you become that person. So yeah, the fake it to make it, the act as if, is incredibly helpful. And I briefly mentioned in that bringing in compassion for yourself. So many of us, particularly people within an eating disorder, our inner critic is so mean, so cruel. Mine was horrific. And that just makes you feel so shit. It's horrible when you're constantly putting yourself down and telling yourself you don't deserve this, you don't deserve that, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're not lovable, you're going to be rejected, and all the stuff that you tell yourself. It's mean. You would never speak to somebody else like that. And you don't need to speak to yourself like that. It's not motivating, it's demotivating. It makes you feel rubbish. When you start to encourage rather than criticize, praise rather than put down, comfort rather than attack, it feels so much nicer. And when you start doing this, you're showing yourself that you are good enough and that you are worthy. Again, it's the actions coming before the feelings. So you start being kind and you start treating yourself like the human being that you are. And then you start to feel better and you start to appreciate yourself and you start to know that you are good enough and that you do deserve things. So again, it is the actions coming before the feelings. Now, another thing that's really, really, really helpful is to spend some time every day in nature. And I know people witter on about this, but it's so true. And they talk about it for a reason. We are part of nature and it has an incredibly soothing effect on us, on our minds, on our bodies. It grounds us into the now. And if you can go out and spend 5-10 minutes every day in nature, listening to the trees, the wind rustling, if you are fortunate enough to be near a body of water, a river, a stream, a lake, the sea, an ocean, then even better, because the soothing qualities of flowing water are incredible. So spend as much time in nature every day as you can, and not running in nature, not walking briskly in nature, but stop, pause, and just take it in. Just sitting on a rock for 5 minutes and watching the water flow it's as powerful as any medicine for your mind. It's so calming. Your mental health will be so much improved by spending this time in nature, by water if you can. That's just super, super, super helpful. A really random one, chewing gum. When I was in the eating disorder, I ate packets and packets and packets of chewing gum every day. And I've had quite a few clients that eat a lot of chewing gum. And you do it because you're hungry. You might not feel hungry, but your body is desperate to eat. So you are doing the actions of eating. But it's almost cruel to your body to be doing these actions of eating and not eating. So chewing gum is not at all helpful to recovery. It's really not. Throw the gum away and stop chewing the gum. It's a real eating disorder behavior. The next one sounds really weird because a lot of people say, yes, you've got to fight the eating disorder. Don't fight. Fighting is exhausting. The eating disorder is going to be there. It's created by you as a coping mechanism. It's part of, you are not the eating disorder, but it is part of you. You've got many, many, many parts, and you have an eating disorder part while it's active. So stop fighting it. You know it's there. You know what it's going to say. It served you in the past. It's been there for a reason. So accept that it's there and still do the things that you want to do to recover. So when the eating disorder is saying, no, you can't have the chips, you're going to get really, really fat, you're going to be unlovable, you're going to keep getting fatter forever and ever and ever, and you're going to be rejected by all of society, and you'll be out of control, and it's greedy, and you won't be able to stop, and all the bullshit that the eating disorder comes out with. You know what it's going to say. You've heard it a million times before. So expect it, know what it's going to say, and say, okay, thank you for your input. I'm not doing this anymore. This is not who I am anymore. So you can witter away to your heart's content, but I'm not going to listen. But trying to fight it, trying to shut it up, trying to stop it, it's not going to work. And you will be absolutely exhausted trying to fight. It's, in effect, have you heard of the thumb wars where you're doing like 1, 2, 3, 4, now I declare a thumb war? Anyway, something I used to play when we were kids, and you do thumb wars with yourself when you're fighting the eating disorder, and you can't win against yourself. So stop fighting, accept, and ignore. And the other one, the last one I've actually got on this list today, I'm sure many more will come up. And maybe I'll do another episode like this if you want one. And actually, if you've got some tips and tricks that have really helped you, let me know and we can put them on another podcast and help other people with them. Because if they've helped you, then they probably will help other people. So the last thing I've got on my list today is stop comparing. You are you, I am me, that person over there is that person over there, and we are all different. We're all one, we're all together, we're all part of humanity, but we're different. And what I can eat and what you can eat are different. When I recovered, how long it took, how much weight I gained is going to be different for me than it was for you. And everybody's recovery is going to be different. People are going to struggle with similar things and different things. People are going to do really well at some things and not well at others. Nobody's path to recovery is linear. Nobody's goes in a straight line. It's always messy. There is no perfect, and comparing yourself with other people is always going to make you feel shit, not good enough, not sick enough, not trying hard enough. And none of that's true. You are exactly where you're meant to be right now. Your life has unfolded as it was meant to, and your recovery is as it's meant to be. You will recover your way for you, and you're not a number, a figure to fit in a box. You are you. Don't compare to anybody else, because it never ever helps. So yeah, that's the list of things that I've been jotting down on my phone this week. As I said, I'm sure there are plenty more, and if anyone's got any to share, I would absolutely love to hear from you, because honestly, it really helps other people. So let's keep this community going, keep supporting each other, reach out and help each other. And thank you so much again for listening and for sending me the beautiful messages. I do really appreciate you all. And I will see you next week. Thank you.